We're just getting to the good part here, folks. All right, she's still very detached, right? Show me where your wooden leg joins on. Is that where we were? The girl uttered a sharp little cry. Her face instantly drained of color. So he's cracked her here. She's starting to have feelings of some sort anyway. The obscenity of the suggestion was not what shocked her. As a child, she'd sometimes been subject to feelings of shame, but education had removed the last traces, as a good surgeon scrapes for cancer. She would no more have felt it over what he was asking him than she would have believed in his Bible. But she was as sensitive about the artificial leg as a peacock about his tail. No one ever touched it but her. She took care of it as someone else would, his soul, in private almost, with her own eyes turned away. No, she said. I know that, he muttered, sitting up. You're playing me for a sucker. Oh, no, 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 she cried. It joins at the knee, only at the knee. Why do you want to see it? Now, he just used the same thing on Superior Joy that he used on her mama. Oh, yeah, you're playing me for a sucker. Joy and her mother aren't that different. Her mother has life figured out with her little platitudes, her little sayings. Joy's are just a little more complicated, and they're called philosophy. But he plays her just like he plays the mom. Oh, no, no. The boy gave her a long, penetrating look. Because it's what makes you different. You ain't like anybody else. She sat staring at him. There was nothing about her face or her round, freezing blue eyes to indicate that this had moved her. But he felt as if her heart had stopped and left her mind to pump her blood. She decided, for the first time in her life, she was face to face with real innocence. Oh, my God. She's face to face with real innocence. 5 minutes later, he's heading off with her leg. This boy with an instinct that came from beyond wisdom. Now that's nice. He has an instinct that came from beyond wisdom. This guy's good. Had touched the truth about her when after a minute she said in a hoarse, high voice, all right. It was like surrendering to him completely. It was like losing her own life and finding it again miraculously in his. Oh, I feel bad for her. The PhD, the doctor in philosophy has been duped. And I really do feel sorry for her because this is the first guy she's kissed. Although, very gently he began to roll up the slack leg up, the artificial limb in a white sock and brown flat shoe was bound in a heavy material like canvas and ended in an ugly jointure where it was attached to the stump. The boy's face and his voice were entirely reverent as he uncovered it and said, now show me how to take it off and on. She took it off for him and put it back on again, and then he took it off himself, handing it as tenderly as if it were a real one. See, he said with a delighted child's face, now I can do it myself. Put it back on, she said. She was thinking that she would run away with him and that every night he would take her. Oh, this is so touching. Put it back on. She was thinking that she would run away with him and that every night he would take the leg off and every morning put it back on. Put it back on, she said. Not yet, he murmured, setting it on the floor out of her reach. She gave a cry of alarm, but he pushed her down and began to kiss her again. Without the leg, she felt entirely dependent on him. Her brain seemed to have stopped thinking altogether and to be about some other function that it was not very good at. Yeah, her brain is always in the clouds, right? With this dark nihilistic philosophy. Now she's got to figure out, wait, what? What's going on here? This is not what I thought was happening. Her brain's not very good at that. And then he opens that great briefcase of his. Wait, he said. He leaned the other way, pulled the valise toward him and opened it. It had a pale blue spotted lining and there were only 2 Bibles in it. He took one of these out and opened the cover of it. It was hollow and contained a pocket flask of whiskey, a pack of cards, and a small blue box with printing on it. Literally, he has cut out the Word of God from the Bible and he's put a bottle of whiskey in there. So you open the Bible, you got a bottle of whiskey instead of the Word of God. He laid these out in front of her. What did he have? A pack of cards with naked people on them, and a small blue box with printing on it. He laid these out in front of her one at a time in an evenly spaced row, like one presenting offerings at a shrine of a goddess. He put the blue box in her hand, this product to be used only for the prevention of disease. She read and dropped it. The boy was unscrewing the top of the flask. I think those are condoms. He stopped and pointed with a smile to the deck of cards. It was not an ordinary deck of cards, but with an obscene picture on the back of each card. "Take a swig," he said, offering her the bottle first. He held it in front of her, but like one mesmerized, she did not move. She's like, whoa, this just does not make sense to her. Her voice, when she spoke, had an almost a pleading sound. Aren't you, she murmured, aren't you just good country people? Well, folks, here's one of the great lessons of life and of this story. Whenever you put someone in a category, a box, well, that person's good country people. That person's an atheist. That person's an athlete. That person's a scholar. That person is a idiot. That person's really smart. Guess what? Nobody belongs in a category. I guess it has some use if you're a sociologist and studying people. Yes, it does. But let's get with it here. Whenever you put someone in a category and you assume you know everything about that person because they're a whatever, you then become vulnerable because guess what? Nobody is completely what category you put them in. And she's like, aren't you just good country people? This isn't what good country people do. It's what Manly does. She's been tricked. "Yeah," he said, curling his lips slightly, "but it ain't held me back none. I'm as good as you any day of the week." "Give me my leg," she said. He pushed it farther away. "Come on now, let's begin to have us a good time," he said. "We ain't got to know one another good yet." "Give me my leg," she screamed and tried to lunge for it, but he pushed her down easily. "What's the matter with you all of a sudden?" Now remember, she had designs on, having some type of intercourse with him out there. "What's the matter with you all of a sudden?" he asked, frowning at the screw the top of the flask and put it back on inside the Bible. "You just a while ago said you didn't believe in nothing. I thought you was some girl." Her face was almost purple. "You're a Christian. You're a fine Christian. You're just like them all. Say one thing and do another. You're a perfect Christian. She still doesn't get it. Her brain can't figure this out, and she thinks she has had everything figured out. I hope you don't think," he said in a lofty, "I hope you don't think I'll believe in that crap. I may sell Bibles, but I know which end is up, and I wasn't born yesterday, and I know where I'm going." "Give me my leg," she screamed. He jumped up so quickly she barely saw him sweep the cards in the blue box into the Bible and throw the Bible in the valise. She saw him grab the leg, and then she saw it for an instant, slanted forlornly across the inside of the suitcase, with a Bible on either side of it. So suddenly this blue suitcase has a Bible on either side, and the leg is in between the Bibles. Her leg is bookended by Bibles. Folks, this is unbelievably horrible and unbelievably funny at the same time. Flannery O'Connor is a genius. Nobody writes like Flannery O'Connor. Nobody writes like Flannery O'Connor. On one point, dark and humorous and so serious. She saw him grab the leg. He slammed the lid shut and snatched up the valise and swung it down the hole and then stepped through himself. When all of him had passed but his head, he turned and regarded her with a look that no longer had any admiration. So he packs up the leg and the valise and he disappears. But his head pops up through the hole, and this is a hay loft that they're in. He says, "I've got a lot of interesting things," he said. "One time I got a woman's glass eye this way. And you needn't to think you'll catch me because Pointer ain't really my name. I use different names at every house I call at and don't stay nowhere long. And I'll tell you another thing, Hulga. You ain't so smart. I've been believing in nothing ever since I was born." And then the toast-colored hat disappeared down the hole, and the girl was left sitting in the straw in the dusty sunlight. So Imagine Hulga sitting there, missing one of her legs, just shocked, dumbfounded. And a lot of you asked, and I have no idea how she got out of there. She probably got her way down one way or another. I don't think she died up there. But she must have sat there for a good long time trying to process exactly what just happened, because that's not what she expected. She thought she had people all figured out, especially a simple guy like him. All right. So, I think I answered a lot of your discussion board questions already. Bible salesman stole her fake leg. He also stole somebody's glass eye. You know, it's just a creepy obsession, Marissa. You're right. You know, we all have creepy obsessions, I guess. That his is just a little creepier. Yeah, very good. A lot of you wondered about that. It is a little unusual. Probably be a good reality show these days. Yeah, how did she get down? We don't really know, but she probably got her way down one way or another. Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I love your discussion board stuff. So, Carly there asked a good question though at the end. What is the significance of the ending of the story, with Mrs. Freeman saying, "Some can't be that simple. I know I never could." We noted earlier, Mrs. Freeman starts the story and she ends it, and I do love this. Mrs. Hopewell and Mrs. Freeman, who are in the back pasture digging up onions, that's pretty smelly, saw him emerge a little later from the woods and head across the meadow toward the highway.